How's it going, fellow Mandalorians? So today's video, I'm actually really excited to make it because this is all about the discussion and speculation / predictions for the finale of The Mandalorian Season 2. In this video, I'm not definitively saying like these things are going to happen. Some things I'm more confident about than other things. Some are just kind of more straight up speculation. But a lot of these are really big things that I think are quite probable and could happen. Some probably will happen, and some things that I'm just also really not sure about, but I think if they did it, it will be a game changer moving forward. So of course, this requires your input down in the comments below. I would love to see what you guys have to say about some of my predictions and what I think could happen in the end of this season. But let's get started with number one. So in the upcoming episode this week, of course, we have Bill Burr returning, and we know that Mando wants to use him to track down Moff Gideon's Archon-class command cruiser. Once that's done, likely by the end or slightly before the end of the episode, we'll probably see Mando organize a team to save baby Grogu. Because think about it, even though Mando has literal plot armor, if he doesn't have some backup, he will be walking into the lion's den. Even though I know we have Boba Fett already and Fennec Shand, it is also possible that we could see Ahsoka return. So this leads me into talking about the next big point, the return of Ahsoka Tano. It is possible. Sure, she said she didn't want to train baby Grogu, and she seems to have a separate arc that we all know pertains to Grand Admiral Thrawn, and yeah, we're going to talk about Thrawn in a little bit. However, in this instance, let's just say I can't imagine after Mando informs Ahsoka about Grogu's capture after successfully locating Gideon's cruiser and seeking backup for his rescue mission, that Ahsoka would just be like, yeah, screw the child. I don't care about him being captured. No, like, I'm pretty sure Ahsoka would care. It just depends if they write this in. So you would have to think it's pretty logical thinking that Mando himself would approach a lightsaber and force-wielding warrior to help him in his mission, on top of Boba Fett, Fennec Shand, and of course, you can throw in Cara Dune and perhaps even Greef Karga in there. But as for the party size that will be going into this mission, I just can't guarantee the spots, and we haven't even spoken about other returning characters yet. But going along the same line of speaking about Ahsoka, now let's assume, going off my last prediction, that Ahsoka does join Team Mando in the rescue mission as they go into the lion's den to save baby Grogu, that this could also link to potentially another huge season finale reveal that I kind of really hope happens. Now, whether or not Gideon is just, you know, to cover all grounds here, defeated or killed, or just temporarily bested in a fashion like running off to lick his wounds until season 3, in his defeat and after the successful rescue of baby Grogu, I can seriously imagine Moff Gideon saying to Ahsoka, cackling away, something along the lines of, "You really think that I'm the threat? You have no idea what you're up against. I'm at the bottom rung of the ladder, and Thrawn is pulling the strings," or something like that. So this main prediction and speculation, if you will, is yes, the big reveal of Grand Admiral Thrawn being the puppet master at play here, with any kind of off-faction kind of Empire stuff we've seen throughout the whole series so far. Now, sure, we've talked about this before in my Mando videos, in that I believe it's very possible that Gideon is serving the larger puppet master who is trying to restore the Empire, and that obviously being Grand Admiral Thrawn. And the Mandalorian itself has already revealed his name, which, you know, drove fans nuts in the best of ways. But I'm also not necessarily saying we're gonna flat out see Thrawn or anything like that, as he is probably likely reserved for future seasons, but that still doesn't mean that Thrawn can't be teased in a much bigger way than what was teased in the Ahsoka episode. So for example, my idea here is something like we could literally just get an audio on the bridge of Moff Gideon's light cruiser after it seems like the rescue team has won the day, with a new voice coming in saying, and I'm not gonna do a Thrawn impression, I love doing impressions, but I haven't practiced this one, but something along the lines of, "It's been a long time, Ahsoka Tano," you know, just because obviously they have history. And then as a result, that teases the grand freaking, no pun intended, entrance of Grand Admiral Thrawn, and that would be so good, even if it is just an audio communication, as I said, on the bridge or wherever it is in the light cruiser. Like, that would be so good. I mean, with regards to Moff Gideon and in the words of Qui-Gon Jinn, there's always a bigger fish. Next up in terms of big reveals and stuff like that, and this does tread the same line as the previous prediction, and this is one that fans have been calling for a long time, and it is kind of obvious in a way. I mean, I could be wrong, hold my hands up if I'm wrong. This does feel as though it will massively weave into future seasons, in that whether the bigger fish is Thrawn or not above Moff Gideon, that their base and place of operations is Mandalore. And this just makes sense with the Empire having wrecked Mandalore in the Purge, as you all know, where they took all the Beskar. Moff Gideon was there, that's how we got the Darksaber. Like, we're probably gonna see, or maybe not see it. I mean, it'd be pretty cool, but I have ideas about that as well. So, for example, yet again, for all we know, if we do get very lucky with Grand Admiral Thrawn, and it goes to the extent, and this is why I say lucky, like a hologram tease or something like that, that it could show that Thrawn is actually located on Mandalore right now in the events of the show. Now, next up, this is kind of like half prediction, half speculation, because I'm just not mega sold on this one, but this pertains to the return of Bo Katan. Now, with the return of Bo Katan, there is 100% motive there, like 100%. Because simply, we know that Mando and the crew he's formed are going in guns blazing to save baby Grogu in Moff Gideon's home turf. And who wants to get to Moff Gideon more than anyone else so she can become the ruler of Mandalore after getting a Darksaber? Freaking Bo Katan. Yeah, I'm not sure if she will tag along. I mean, sure, Mando could ask for backup, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't articulated to Mando himself from Bo Katan that she's after the Darksaber. I mean, I know he was in the same room, but like, you know, she seemed to be doing her own thing in the corner. But logically, if Mando did actually go to Bo Katan and he mentioned Moff Gideon's name, she'd be like, hell yeah, I'll come. Like, where do I sign up? But the question is, will Mando approach her? But more along that route, if she does come along, it would also just make sense for how Mando may pull off this mission as well, because imagine a whole bunch of Mandalorians that Bo Katan could bring with her, paired with Boba Fett and Mando himself. I mean, yeah, Dark Troopers, Darksaber, it doesn't really matter. Good luck. But let's talk about the Razor Crest in the next prediction, and this pertains to a lot of fan discussion online at the minute, especially with the recent reintroduction of Boba Fett. So the Razor Crest can't be restored. Like, literally, that thing is done. It is done. And as I said, already fans are speculating about Mando for future seasons rocking Boba Fett's Slave One ship. Now, on one side, let me point out both sides of the ballpark here. It would be really, really awesome to see our main character Mando ride in that legendary ship from Star Wars for the rest of the show, or the series in general. However, I think there's another side to this that other fans won't like, and that is, if he gets Slave One, well, does that mean that Boba isn't around anymore, if that speculation comes to fruition? So yeah, this ties into the possibility of Boba Fett's death in the series finale. Now, just as we get Boba Fett back in live action with a pretty badass reintroduction scene, the way that fans have always wanted to see him, I can just imagine that as we get that, if he were to sacrifice himself in a sort of, I've been doing this for decades, I don't mind going out in a badass kind of way, then I can't imagine that fans would be too happy. I mean, a lot of people would take that as a punch to the gut when they only just got the guy back in the way they've always wanted to see him. I mean, already a majority of fans aren't necessarily too happy about the way that Boba Fett was portrayed. I mean, they were on one side, but also there's that other side of Boba Fett being portrayed in a slightly hero-esque route in the latest episode compared to that of his shady past in the original trilogy. That's not me speaking personally, because you could argue it was just honor, you know, like he was like seeing out what he promised, even though at the same time there is an argument to be made that he didn't even have to make that deal, because he could have just said to Mando at the beginning, here's my chain code, that's my suit of armor, and Mando would have handed it over. A little bit of a plot hole there, kind of. But either way, revisiting the hero-esque kind of portrayal they did for him in a way, if they doubled down on that with a sacrifice, then that would be a controversial move for sure. Now, next up, we know that we'd be getting Darksaber battle scenes for quite a long time now, thanks to Giancarlo Esposito saying that we would, way before Season 2 even aired. Now, the only thing that remains from the Razor Crest is the Beskar Spear. So you can kind of see where I'm going here. With or without Ahsoka returning, you just know that Mando will be clashing blades with Moff Gideon. But oh man, like the sight of Ahsoka and Mando both against Moff Gideon would be insane, but also pretty silly because Moff Gideon literally wouldn't stand a chance against a Force user with lightsabers and Din Djarin just going ham with us. Yeah. So if they do that, I know it would be cool, but you'd be kind of sacrificing a bit of logic. But for that very reason, this is why I'm a bit apprehensive of certain or even a lot of popular characters returning all at once to save Baby Grogu, as it'd be a pretty guaranteed win, and to be honest, not all that challenging. One I've been really wanting to get to in this video as well and just talk about, and I really, really hope, and I just feel like I would be a little bit disappointed if they don't bring this up in some way or another. It doesn't have to be huge, it can be really, really low key. And that is to tease the result of what happened with Baby Grogu's Force Beacon and who would have picked it up. Now, someone definitely would have heard that within universe. Like, they wouldn't have done that whole thing if it didn't work. So, like, even though they haven't articulated the result of that just yet, it's reached someone. Someone out there, a Jedi, has picked up the signal. And this is where things gets insanely interesting, because you've heard me talk about this before in previous Mando videos, but the Force users we have, not including Ahsoka, because she's already said, well, she isn't a Jedi, but she says she wouldn't train Baby Grogu, but they are Ezra Bridger, Cal Kestis, and Luke Skywalker. And I know people keep saying Mace Windu, but like, I'm not saying he won't, but like, I'll hold my hands up, like, fair enough if he comes back, and I'll be happy to talk about that then, but like, pretty sure Mace was kind of toast. I know Jedis can survive falls from very large heights, and he got his arm, but you know what I mean. Okay, let's include Mace there, because he might be out there somewhere. However, the logical thing in my brain really does kind of trump me here if they use someone else, and even if it is really cool if they use Ezra, which I'm sure will be in this show somewhere or another in the later seasons, potentially. But what I'm getting at is, if they don't do Luke Skywalker, and I'm not saying necessarily that I even want to see that, because this is a very controversial thing as well, bringing Luke Skywalker down. Do you recast? Do you do the Rise of Skywalker? And they did a good job there. You know, younger version of Mark Hamill, like, pulling off that was really, really cool. But I'm not gonna lie, it would be pretty stupid if they didn't do him. In story and in universe, why wouldn't the most powerful current Jedi pick that signal up? But yeah, that does dare the question of, would they bring in Luke Skywalker in some way, shape, or form in the future? Because whoever this Jedi is, I can't imagine they're going to bring him in right away or anything like that, as they would likely just take Baby Grogu, and the mission Mando had been quested to do would have been fulfilled. However, the reason why I wanted to bring this point up as a prediction is because a cool tease could still really easily be done. For example, I think they could get away with, in a very extremely similar way to how Boba Fett was kneeling down to Fennec Shan's dying body in Season 1, you could do that for Luke Skywalker, let's say, which wouldn't guarantee how or even when he would appear, or exact same scenario but for Ezra. And as I said, I would personally be a little bit underwhelmed just from this standpoint if they didn't tease it somehow, just in the same way as Boba Fett. And lastly for this video, this isn't going to be a long one whatsoever, will Baby Grogu even be rescued? Because they could end the season in such a way where it's just like, ending on not a high note, but on a middle note, or even very low. Like, maybe all hope is lost in a sense. And then the next season is about maybe some of what we've already been talking about in this video, banding together even bigger people. Because as I said, I was kind of apprehensive about getting every popular character back. It almost seems a bit OP, if you know what I mean. However, in next season, that might be when Mando gets Ahsoka as well as Bo Katan and the whole squad there to get back Baby Grogu. That kind of makes a bit more logical sense in terms of the pacing and spacing this out. Also, you know, last season ended fairly positively for the crew, even though you had Moff Gideon still alive. Will this season really end with the child just being like, yeah, everything's together, and sure, cool, you could make some amazing bombshells like revealing Admiral Thrawn, and that would be a really good end to the season, but I don't know if they're really going to close it that way. They could make it still kind of depressing with those really cool bombshells as well. But guys, that is all the discussion I've got. My finale predictions and speculation for The Mandalorian Season 2. I'm really excited to see how things end, and I feel like I did do a half decent job at covering all of the kind of possibilities that could happen in the finale. So it just depends, and this is why I want to hear your feedback in the comments below. What do you think about what I said? Do you think it will turn out one way in the way I said something, or the other? Or maybe I didn't actually mention something that could actually happen. So I'll be reading every single one of your comments, so definitely leave one, and like this video if you did enjoy it, and make sure you subscribe for more Mandalorian videos just like this. Check me out on Twitter, follow me on Instagram, all that good stuff is linked in the top pinned comment. Also, have a Discord server. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your day, and may the Force be with you always.